Hi everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader and I am here with another recent reads episode because yes, I finally finished some books. So in my latest video, I talked about how I was feeling very guilty and kind of irresponsible as a reader for not having finished anything in the month of May so far, but how at the same time I was incredibly happy and satisfied with the books that I have been reading. So it was kind of a very contradictory, ambivalent feeling of, yes, I am loving the many different books that I'm reading at the same time, but at the same time, I am feeling very frustrated because I am not feeling that kind of I'm not having that sense of accomplishment that comes whenever you finally finish a book and you can talk about it here. But yeah, that was just another video, and having made that video, I was able to express my anxieties, and now that I got those anxieties out of my system, I was actually able to finish some of the books that I was reading, not all of them, but I now have some recent reads for you guys. So this is gonna be recent reads numbers 26, 27, and 28 that I have read so far in 2018. And those will be As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving, and Delicate Edible Birds by Lauren Groff. So you know the drill. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. The first book that I completed was As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. This was not the right book or the right author for me. I feel kind of guilty again, and I think it's very unfair to say that I really did not like this novel, because rationally and intellectually I can understand why this book is so important and so well loved and so highly acclaimed as one of these modern classics that you have to read. And Faulkner is regarded very highly as one of these authors that write so beautifully about really important topics, and you have to read them. So yeah, this just was not for me. It did not resonate with me. It did not click with me. I felt completely alienated from the book, the story, the characters, everything that was happening. I felt like I was looking at it from very far away, from a very long distance. The writing is very beautiful, but the novel is written in a stream of consciousness style, which I do like in some other books, but I did not like it in here. It did not work well for me in this particular novel. So this novel follows the Bundren family as they go on this kind of journey or quest to take the mother of the family, who just passed away, just died, and she always wanted to be buried in somewhere where she grew up, and her family is buried. So they are taking her coffin to that place to bury her. Yeah, I gave this book 1 out of 5 stars. 1, not 2, but 1. 1 star, because I really didn't understand it. And I know it's very unfair and very unfair of me to say that this book was just not good for me, but it is the truth. It is absolutely true that I did not get it. I felt very confused. I know that this is the type of book that I could reread eventually sometime in the future, and if I really tried, I could probably understand it more and like it more and appreciate it more, even though I did appreciate it. Like, it's funny because I really didn't like it and I didn't get it, but I still am able to appreciate it from a writing standpoint and from a literary perspective, I guess. But do you know what I'm talking about? Do you ever feel that feeling of feeling like you're split in two? Like, you can appreciate the book, but you just hate it. You just hate the experience. That's what happened to me with William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying. So even though this is a book that I could see myself liking more upon a second read, I am not going to try it. I don't study literature. This is not a job or a responsibility. I read because I want to, and I don't want to keep reading stuff that it's just not for me. So that will probably be my first and last approach to William Faulkner. Sorry, not sorry. Then the next book that I finished was A Prayer for Owen, Meany by John Irving. John Irving is one of these contemporary American writers that people always talk very highly about, and I've always regarded him as one of those really important, warm voices that I just really had to read. And all of his novels are very long and kind of huge. And I do own another one of his novels. I think it is The Cider House Rules. I have it somewhere in my shelves. But I decided to go with A Prayer for Owen, Meany first because, I don't know. And this is a book that I am extremely ambivalent about. I gave it 3 stars in the end. This is a very long novel. It is 650 pages, more or less, and it tells the story of these 2 characters. Johnny is the protagonist and narrator, and we follow him as he goes through life, and he has this best friend who is Owen Meany. Owen Meany is a kind of character that is very difficult to describe. He is a very special kind of character. He has some kind of quality to him. He is physically different. He has something physical. We never really know what he is, but he is very, very tiny. He's a very tiny person. So in size, he is very small. He also has a larynx that always stays up. So his larynx doesn't move down. His larynx is always up, very high in the throat. So it always, his voice is always very high and squeaky and awful. And the way that John Irving writes his dialogue is all in caps, all in capital letters, which was kind of grating. Honestly, it was kind of jarring, and it just kind of felt very, I kind of grew tired of it. But anyway, I feel very ambivalent towards this book because I really enjoyed some aspects of it. I really enjoyed Johnny's upbringing and how he describes the town in which he lives and how he talks about these people. It's a very immersive read. You really feel like you get to know the place and the environment and the characters. The setting is very vivid. And I really liked the beginning part of the book in which we see Johnny and Owen as they grow up in this town and they perform in some theater plays, and there's a bunch of shenanigans that they do and some trouble that they get into in high school and in college, and I liked that aspect of it very much. My problem is that this book, it was very long and it was very detailed, and I think the same thing that happens to Stephen King happens to Mr. John Irving. He needs to cut some detail. He just, this book really could have been a lot better if it had been seriously edited down. I feel like the book could have been half the size and it would be much more effective. Now, something else that I didn't like was the character of Owen Meany himself is portrayed as this kind of mysterious, almost saint-like creature, and he is so special and so different. But if you really think about it, he is a deeply, deeply sick character. He's a very sick person. He is incredibly paranoid and narcissistic, borderline psychotic. And I know that this is a novel and you should never analyze characters from fiction as if they were real people. But I just don't like it when we have characters that are so special and the author portrays them as like really interesting, saint-like characters, when in reality, to me, they sound very sick and very much in need of help. So the character of Owen, even though I liked him and he was very quirky and very interesting to read about him, to me, I just felt very sorry for him because, like I said, he was a very paranoid, narcissistic, borderline psychotic character with a very, very awful family dynamic. His mother is pretty much psychotic, and the father is also very mentally unstable, and Owen Meany himself is very mentally unstable. This book deals a lot with religion and faith. Those are very important themes running throughout the story, and you know that I am a raging atheist, but I was honestly, I was not infuriated. I wasn't even bothered by that aspect. I actually felt that the book deals with religion and faith in a very okay manner. I mean, I even liked it. But okay, my biggest beef with this novel is that there's a moment towards the end of the book in which, I'm not going to spoil it, but we find out something about Owen Meany, and we find this piece of information about him and his regarding his birth and his parents. And when I read that, I immediately closed the book and I just started feeling incredibly angry and betrayed and cheated by the author and cheated. Just, I hated that. I hated that revelation. It was so cheap and so. I mean, no. No. That's everything that I should say about that. Overall, I liked the book well enough to give it 3 stars. I never felt bored. I always felt very immersed in it, but there were some things that I'm not going to spoil, but there were some things towards the ending that felt like watching Titanic, that felt very cheesy and very Christian, like very in your face. There were some, for example, the symbols. There's a lot of symbolism in the novel, throughout the novel, and the use of symbolism is so obvious and so so in your face that I was just like, oh, this is, come on, this is kind of cheap. So yeah, that's all I want to say about this book. I did like it, but at the same time, I felt cheated by it, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep on reading John Irving. Maybe I will someday read the Cider House Rules because I already own it. But yeah, I'm still kind of processing Owen Meany. And the last book that I want to mention quickly in here is Delicate Edible Birds. And I say that I don't really know how to talk about short story collections because they are collections, and it's very hard for me to talk about them as a unit, as a whole, as one book. I gave this 4.5 stars. It is one of the best books that I've read so far this year. Lauren Groff has this amazing writing style. She is just a great craftsman or craftswoman of language. She is a truly beautiful writer. The stories in here are really interesting. I loved most of them. There were a couple of stories that are just gems, absolute gems. So I urge you to pick it up. If you haven't read Lauren Groff before, her novel Fates and Furies I read last year and it blew my socks off. She is really a very talented writer. She has the ability to entrance you with the musicality of her words, and yeah, this is really a very, very powerful, impeccably well-written collection. That's it. That's all I want to say in today's recent reads. So please leave your comments down below so we can have a conversation about these books or any other books that you want to mention. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.